This is the daily writing recorded, day 56, titled Circular Fern. A few drops of water, a pinch of clay, 200 grams. Grant dipped his fingers into the water and gently ran them along the clay. His hands instinctively reached for the wheel, jerking it back and forth in preparation for the full swing. A burp worked its way through his lungs and succinctly made its way out of his mouth and into the desolate corner of the basement. A smile appeared on his face. A chuckle escaped his lips, followed by the shaking of his head and a quick shudder of his body. He pounded his fist upon the clay as his eyes drifted to the ceiling. "Oh well, oh well, oh well," he muttered. Fate had never been a friend to him, neither had destiny. Hard work is what had gotten him his home, his wife, his job, and every other tangible or intangible item people in this world seem to concern themselves with as being good and proper for a man of his age to possess. No luck was involved, even if his wife on repeated occasion reminded him he was lucky to have her. His job was earned through long years of unpaid recognition and blatant disregard for his personage in favor of more sociable candidates. A job he, according to the interchangeable carousel of managers, supposedly was lucky to have in the economy. Even his children subscribed to the channels of luck, arguing he was lucky to have them, as they could have easily turned out different with a father like him. Grant had chuckled it all away. Not that there was much to laugh about anymore. His wife and children had left him and were now dead. A supposed freak accident as lightning struck their car driving away from the courthouse, where she, his wife, had gotten custody over their children by an apoplectic judge who seemed to not even register Grant's existence, as she on occasion lifted her head and appeared to be surprised someone was actually standing in front of her. A freak accident, mind you, even the papers called lucky, as there were worse ways to die than by a lightning strike. Grant lost his rights to in no small part as he lacked proper counsel. He had been fired a few weeks earlier due to not being a proper fit to the team, as he brought down the carefully honed spirit of performance with a somber and depressing attitude. A few of his colleagues suggested he was lucky to be escaping the sinking ship when he did. His loss of income was never considered to be material. He was lucky to get a fresh start, to find new opportunities. The loss of his parental rights was equally supposed to be celebrated, or so his friends assured him. He was lucky not to deal with those ingrates they called his family, and how many of them wished they could have gotten the same deal. A fresh start, they said. A new wife, they added. A few women in between, they joked. Grant was lucky, very lucky indeed, as they moved on to discuss their family vacations and gave each other tips on where to go and what best to avoid. Grant was a lucky man indeed. His eyes drifted to the row of misshapen forms lying upon the wobbly plank in his basement. It was no longer his basement. The bank had repossessed it after several months of him failing to pay the mortgage. An act which the inspector called lucky. With all the water damage and structural issues, Grant was told to thank the heavens he was able to get rid of the property the way he did, as the value of the property had been pre-established by the court during his divorce proceedings. The life insurance policy he got from his wife's death was also supposed to be a windfall. The insurance covered most of the funeral costs, and the rest he could, as the woman on the phone said, be used to rebuild his life and heal the wounds, and focus on his children who would need him after the loss of his family. They, she said, were lucky to have him, and that he only had to imagine what would happen if the both of them had died. The fact that they were all dead never seemed to cross her mind. A clerical error, she joked in the beginning, for no man could be so unlucky. Grant had taken some of the insurance money and spent it on his pottery set and some large blocks of clay. He had, in the span of several weeks, slowly made his way from creating downright monstrosity to creating some half-decent vases he eagerly watched bake in his oven. An oven he was lucky to have, as it was the last one they had in stock, or so, the salesman said. An oven Grant was happy to see was as cheap as he hoped it would be, and malfunctioned as he wished it was. How lucky he was that the electrical spark bursting from the socket caught onto a misplaced rag. How fortunate was he that it spilled onto another rag and rapidly across a string upon which his laundry hung, towards the shoddy wooden foundations. Oh, how lucky he was that everything he had worked for and built up in his entire life had, in a span of 6 months, disintegrated into platitudes of gratefulness and density. Oh, how grateful he was that soon he was going to be face to face with the deity they all said he ought to thank for his luck, and pound his fist into the malleable omnipresence of his life. Oh, how lucky he was. No more has been written or recorded. Thank you for listening, and good night.